All right, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for being with us today and volunteering during National Engineers Week, which is February 18th through the 24th of next month. This webinar will be recorded for future viewing. We ask that you please keep your audio muted unless you have a specific question. You can come off mute and ask it. A quick overview of our agenda today before we get started. This orientation will cover an overview of eWeek and the classroom sign-up process if you're unfamiliar. There'll be a walkthrough of key questions and next steps, a teacher checklist for you to use when communicating with your teacher. And we're going to show you a preview of the new templates and resources and slide decks that we've developed for you over the course of the last couple of months through the K-12 Education Committee. Really excited to show you that. At the conclusion of orientation, we will include the links to access the online classroom signups in the chat box. Shelby Dunn is here with me helping out with the chat feature. So if you do have questions, feel free to utilize that, and I'm sure she'll jump in and help out. Hopefully you were able to view all of the available schools and classroom visits, dates, and times in the Google Sheet that we sent out previously. So you could brainstorm, what you'd be interested in and schools you may want to visit. Thanks, Shelby. Once the link opens for signups, all volunteers are welcome to go in and sign up for the desired class times. If you're familiar with the process from last year, that was formally done in Google Sheets. This year we'll be doing that on Sign Up Genius. We'll provide a little more intel on that in a minute, but just know that the link that Shelby just dropped in the chat is not the way to sign up. There's a different process for that, and we'll be providing that at the end of the session today. Okay, to start us off, I want to welcome ACEC Indiana's K-12 Education Committee Chair, Dan Mullaney. So Dan, get us started.
Thanks, Liz. Welcome, everybody. Good morning. Thanks for joining for this orientation, and especially for volunteering for National Engineers Week 2024. So I want to give a special shout out to our volunteers from the Citizens Energy Group, Indianapolis DPW, INDOT, and any other municipalities that we have joining us. Thank you for your participation. So my name is Dan Mullaney. I'm with SJCA. I'm serving as the chair of the K-12 Education Committee for this year for ACEC Indiana. For those of you who, some of you may know already, National Engineers Week, it's an opportunity to connect with students, introduce them to engineering, and educate them on the career possibilities in the engineering field. This aligns with the overall goal of the K-12 Education Committee and ACEC Indiana's workforce development initiatives. So I think a lot of us are familiar with workforce development challenges and hiring and all of that good stuff. So overall, a lot of good stuff here to get kids interested in engineering. So this year, pretty exciting. We set a goal to reach over 150 classrooms during National Engineers Week, and this year we surpassed that goal. We have 191 classrooms across the state that we're looking to that we're going to be visiting, and the 64 different schools across the state, which is over 6,500 students that are going to be impacted by our volunteer goals, by our volunteers this year, which is awesome. This is nearly double the amount of classrooms that we had in years past and last year. So we're really excited to be able to connect with so many Hoosier students and talk to them about engineering. And a shout out to Liz Walker with ACEC Indiana. She's been a huge part of the workforce development initiatives, and also getting the word out to teachers, counselors, other individuals at schools around the state. So we got a lot of interest this year, which is great. So because we have a lot of volunteer slots to fill, your support's needed more than ever. So we're really grateful that you're here. So Engineers Week, some of you may be familiar with it. It's typically held the week of George Washington's birthday in February every year. And it's an opportunity for our industry to showcase the career opportunities that are in engineering and to showcase it as a career that allows for curiosity, creativity, working in teams, and then helping others and benefiting society. So I think it's important when you're doing these classroom presentations to be aware that the students that you're going in front of, their exposure to engineering may be different depending on what class you're going to. Some folks may be familiar with engineering. For some students, this might be some of their first exposure to what engineering is as a career. And this is something that you can discuss with your teacher to kind of craft your presentation to meet the needs of where your students are at. But just be aware of that everyone's going to be coming from a different spot. I think it's great to connect with the students and engaging to personalize your experience, personalize your presentation, tell stories, show project photos, videos, anything like that. I think that really is engaging for the students. And share how the work that you do makes a difference. Share how everything that you work on a day-to-day basis, a lot of it society uses on a day-to-day basis, and how it helps society in general. I think that really makes a difference or sticks with the students. And we'll talk about this a little bit here in the next slide. As far as resources that ACEC will give to you to help you craft your presentation. So ACEC is here to help you with your presentation and develop content and answer questions, and give you resources so you can get ideas for your presentation. Some of the stuff that we're really excited to share this year, and Liz has it shared up on the screen. Liz mentioned some new PowerPoint templates that we have. If you've participated in the past, you're aware we may have had PowerPoint templates in previous years. This year we have broken it down even further by age group. So specifically targeting maybe some more of the younger kids in elementary school with different presentations that's more catered to their age level. And then we also, it's exciting, we have a civil engineering activity book for those younger kids, which we've developed the PowerPoint slides, the PowerPoint templates to kind of follow along. The activity book follows along with those slides, which can kind of keep the younger kids engaged and give them some stuff to do as you go through the slides. It's not just a presentation. So I think we've, especially the new stuff with the younger kids, I think is going to be great to really get them engaged. And I want to thank David Rapogel with Resolution Group. He was critical. His leadership was critical in developing these new templates for these PowerPoint presentations and helping develop the content for the activity book for the younger kids. So big shout out to him. He's leading the subcommittee in our K-12 education committee that's responsible for developing this content. So the slides, the template slides for the younger kids, they're age appropriate. They highlight different career opportunities, different civil engineering disciplines, and they're scalable. So it scales in content as you get, to presentations that are for older ages. So I think it kind of builds on, the older kid presentation builds on the younger kid presentation. So, which is great. And then as the activity book, obviously the kids can keep it and take it home. So it kind of sticks with them, beyond just the presentation that you have during E-Week. And then for the older kids, like middle school and high school, we have templates for them. The slides have a more mature look, maybe a little more similar to what we've seen in what you may have seen in past years if you volunteered with us in the past. There's a handout you can download that kind of highlights careers in civil engineering and how you can make a career out of it and how you can get involved. Colleges and universities in Indiana with engineering programs stressing things like that. So these resources are now available on ACEC Indiana's website. We can provide a link to you for those, and we'll provide a follow-up link to assist you in preparing your presentations. But right now, Liz is going to do a preview of some of those templates. So.
Yeah, thanks, Dan. Just a real quick preview. I won't show every single slide from every deck, just to give you a little taste of what you're looking for here today. But you've already seen a little cue up of the welcome slide. We had that when we opened this morning. But the new slides is going to be following what a late elementary student would experience, or a student that's in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, where we've kind of done a redesign with this to have the colors match the ACEC strategic plan. So you'll see a lot of the same vibrant, bright colors for the younger kids. But, you know, every one of our presentations opens up in a similar way. Do you know what engineering is? Do you know what engineers do? And kind of prompt the students to, you know, prompt them with those questions. Here is a display of what engineering careers are out there today. We're here to discuss civil engineering, right? And so that's highlighted, that's bolded at the top. Just make it really clear when you're entering a new conversation with students to set that expectation that, yes, there's a big wide array of engineering professions out there, but we are civil engineers, and that's what we're here to talk about today. And then what do civil engineers do? What do you think they do? What do you think they build? What do you think they work on? Just get them talking, make it as interactive as possible. Highlight all the ways that civil engineers impact the world and make the world a better place, connecting people to places, cities, communities, clean water. And you'll see that all of the template slides follow, you know, they kind of touch on each of these different elements as the student ages. I love this screen grab. This is from the Domain of Science, the Map of Engineering. It's a video. If you want to search for this and play it, at least a snippet in your presentation, feel free to do so. But I put it in here as an image just to kind of show the wide, the breadth of what civil engineering has to offer the world and the ways that it changes society. And again, just a little call out of, you know, recognizing that many civil engineering, many engineering disciplines all work together. So civil engineers in a given day can work with, you know, architects, structural engineers, materials, electrical, all of those different pieces. So just kind of showing that the environment of engineering is very cross-discipline, and we all work together. There's a great amount of teamwork that goes on in the engineering space. There are photos like this embedded throughout the presentation, and you'll see that when you open the slides yourself. But you know, questions growing across the screen to prompt them to think a little bit bigger about their world. And hey, you drive across a big bridge every day. You know, civil engineers built that. Let's talk about it. So finding ways to pull those images out of real life and putting them into slide. You are welcome to customize these and put in any that you like, but we've just pulled some from previous projects or other things that, you know, we had on hand here at ACEC. So I'll provide you a little bit of an example. Dan mentioned that these slides follow along in the activity book accompanies the slide. So I want to give you a little preview of what that would look like. So if you're presenting, you get to the section on bridges. Here's your preview on bridges. Give a little primer on bridge design, bridge engineering. You know, requires a lot of teamwork. You're working on safety codes. You know, make sure that you know, you're thinking of the environment when you're building a bridge. And then you would encourage the students to pull out their activity book when you get to this slide. Let's all work together and design a bridge. So you have this on the slide, but the student in front of them has an activity book, and it will show them, they're on the right hand side. You can see that that's the same picture. It's the same prompt. Okay, we've got this picture on the slide. Let's all work together and draw a bridge. And this is for the older elementary students. So not a specific way to draw their bridge, but encourage them to think a little bit bigger about what the design of their bridge means. So can you fit a boat underneath your bridge? Is it for foot traffic, or is it for cars to go over? And how does that change, and how does that impact the design of their bridge? And this, again, this is not the same thing as using popsicle sticks to build a bridge. We know that that's a different experience, but this is something that, you know, even the most limited resources, we can have paper and pencils on the table, right? And make this presentation a little more engaging. So that's a little example of what that looks like. And you'll see something similar to that as you go through the slides yourself. And again, at the end of every section like that, so this was our bridge section, there's examples of bridges that ACEC members have built. And you can change that question that prompts across the screen there to make that customized. You can add your own photos in, add additional slides to, if you're a bridge engineer, add additional photos that of projects you've worked on, or if you're in a certain area of the state and you know there's a big project going on in that area of the state, have photos of that and put that in the slide deck and tie that back to, you know, the students' real life experience and things they may have seen in real time. So in contrast, this is what older students see. Middle and high school students will see this version of the slides. You see it's a little more mature, cooler look, a little darker colors. That green pops out a little bit more, which kind of matches the workforce development theme. If you see a theme going, yeah. But this is a little cooler look, the dark blue. The sketch art's a little different, but it opens a similar way. What is civil engineering? Let's make sure everybody's on the same field about what engineering is and what civil engineering is. And here are all the ways that civil engineers impact society and makes modern society possible. And so unlike the younger kids slides, we're using a little bit more of, you know, real photos as backdrops and just kind of pulling in those real experiences and those real items in the slide deck as well. In here, specifically for the older students, you know, we get a lot of, you know, attention on engineering being a field of mathematics and drafting and analysis, but it's also all these other things. It's technical, but it's more than that. It's creative, it's teamwork, it's leadership. So be sure to highlight those things, as, you know, this is a very critical field that it's a lot of management, problem solving, working together to solve big problems. So just kind of highlight that as you go through this too. This would be the opening slide to show a dive down of the disciplines that are within here. And as you go through the slides, you'll see that each of the disciplines have a slide just like this where, okay, here's what road design is. But what you can't see on the preview today is all of the narrative that is underneath this slide deck supporting you to talk about road design. So if you are a bridge engineer, and well, you probably know about roads, but if you're a bridge engineer and you're here to talk about water, and you get to the water section, there are all kinds of notes available to you to help guide you through that conversation. So it seems like a lot, but there is a lot of supporting narrative under each and every single slide within this deck. So I encourage you to download the PowerPoint version of this and make sure you're looking at all of that narrative support underneath all the slides, because it's here to help guide you and help support you in giving this presentation. For the older students, we talked about scaling content. So the middle and high school students, they have a big section on environmental and highlighting all the ways that environmental engineering impacts the world. And the younger students really don't get this because this is, you know, we decided this was for the older audience, but you'll see that the content changes and more gets added the older students get. We also have a good section on the education requirements and the career path of civil engineers, and I think that's important for the middle and high school students. So you'll see here they have, you know, a snapshot of the education all the way to, you know, take your PE and advancement within your firm and highlighting the steps necessary to do that. There's also a section on education reminders. This is specifically for the high school students. This is kind of an action call to action for them to make sure that they're doing the things they need to do in high school to prepare themselves to enter engineering in college. So, you know, if you're familiar with the FAFSA, maybe you're not, but learn how to say FAFSA, free application for federal student aid. We want to be encouraging all students to fill out that free application every year so they have the breadth of grants and scholarships available to them, encourage them to apply for many grants and scholarships, because we know, at least from my higher education experience, that if students don't have a way to education, if they don't have a way to pay for it, their chances of going are even less likely. So as industry leaders and as frankly, adults and role models that students can look up to, I would love to see this messaging included throughout, that we're encouraging students to apply for grants, apply for your FAFSA, get an internship, all the good things they need to do to prepare themselves to be as ready as they can be to enter college. I think it's really important for them to hear that from more than just one adult in their life. If they hear it from us too, better chance they'll do it. And every slide that we have on all of our templates across all of them ends with this same message. And it makes me happy every time we look at it, because engineering gets a bad rap for being a profession that's all about math and all about, you know, being good at numbers. But engineering is about changing the world. And that's the lasting message we want you to leave with these kids when you talk to them. It's not just about, you know, being able to move around in a spreadsheet and being good at analysis. It's so much more than that. If you want to be somebody that leaves a mark on the world, that changes your society to make it better, then engineering is a pathway for you. And encourage, you know, kind of leave them with this feel good message at the very end. So that's a preview of the slides that we've got. I encourage you to, you know, as you are navigating your potential classroom signups, and you get to, okay, I'm going to be with high school students, download the entire deck and look through it entirety, and make sure that you're looking at all that narrative underneath all those slides and looking at all the information available to you. You're looking at that handout we showed you, all those different resources available, because we want to make sure that you have all these tools at your disposal. Please use them. They're definitely there for you to use. So reminder, these are customizable. It seems like they're pretty set in stone, and they are. We have a lot of content available for you, but just know that you can customize them. You can switch out photos, and quite frankly, if you are up against a time crunch, let's say you have only 30 minutes available to you for a classroom visit, at your discretion, you can trim some things out. It's okay. I would much rather you give a good experience to student and remove 1 or 2 disciplines from the big discipline section than rush through it and not feel like it was a good, meaningful experience. So we're all adults. Customize and adapt as needed. These are meant to be a guide for you, and don't feel pressured into this is the only way the deck works and I can't alter it. No, you have the ability and flexibility to download this content, make it yours, and just make sure that at the end, the beginning and the ends are a similar experience for everybody. That we're here to debunk what civil engineering is, and civil engineers impact the world in a greater way, and just kind of make sure that message is there throughout. But when it gets to that center section and diving deeper or eliminating some disciplines, I leave that up to your discretion. You're able to do that and modify that as you need. When working with elementary age students, especially because there's the activity book, and it is a 14-page document, I'm just going to be honest with you. I would first recommend that you send that to your teacher contact and encourage them to print that for you, right? This is an item that I need for my presentation. Please ask them if they're able to print that on your behalf and have that ready for their students. If they're unable, or if you at your firm were able to print it off, that'd be great. Every single classroom, when they submitted, provided a head count of students in the all details tab of the Google folder. So please look there. You have that head count available to you right now. You know how many students you're going to be talking to when you sign up for classes. So just keep that in the back of your mind. I would also add in that if you are talking to an assembly of students, you'll see in there it's 100 students in attendance. Maybe the activity book is not the best option for you at that time, right? Because we have 100 kids in one room, it's probably not going to work. So because of that, we do have versions of the slides that do not incorporate an activity book. Okay, so you'll see on our website the sections, they're divided by sections. So early elementary school, K through 2, it'll have the slide deck, a version of what you've seen here. It'll have the activity book linked, and it'll also have a version of the slide deck that removes some slides that reference the activity book. Okay, so just be sure that you know what you're getting into and you're pulling down the right resource for yourself. If you're walking into a big assembly room, maybe use that version that doesn't incorporate the activity book. But if you are going to a smaller audience, we would encourage you to use it. Okay. I think with that, I will pull it back to Dan.
Thanks, Liz. Excuse me. Yeah, Liz had a note there too. I mean, these, if your time allows, and if you desire to, hands-on activities are also a great option. If you have enough time in your classroom presentation, and you want to provide the materials, you can discuss that with your teacher. Maybe they have some materials available. But ACEC's website for the eWeek volunteer page will also have some resources that you can, some links and resources that you can use to get ideas for activities if you decide to do it. So that will be shared with you as well. All right, so wanted to talk about the sign-up process this year. So we're changing things up from how things have been done in the past. Liz mentioned we're going to be using Sign Up Genius this year for signups. And one important note which you probably saw from the Google Sheet is that we've broken up all the schools we've broken the state up into 6 regions. So those 6 regions generally follow the 6 NDOT districts. So if you're not familiar with those, we've kind of talked about the directions. So we split it up. There's a map here on the screen. So we have a northwest and a northeast, an east and central region, and that's it's central's in there because it covers the Indianapolis, metro Indianapolis area. So that's corresponding to the NDOT Greenfield district, west region, southeast, and southwest. So when we open up the links for signups, there's going to be a link. There's going to be 6 links, one for each of these regions. So hopefully this allows you to better target the area of the state that you desire to volunteer in, and makes it a little tidier in the Sign Up Genius, because you'll only be looking for your particular school within one of the 6 regions. So it breaks it up a little bit. So if there's any questions on that, let us know. And as I mentioned, there's a map there on the screen. I think Shelby is also going to, Shelby has dropped a link in the chat that kind of shows the district maps, which correspond to the 6 regions that we've broken up the signups in. So feel free to take a look at that after we move on from this slide. And the Google Sheet that was sent out yesterday and is also linked in the chat is the lists of schools broken up by region as well. So hopefully you've taken a look at that and determined what region you desire to sign up for. So when we drop the links, you can choose that particular link. So it's important to stress that we have a lot of interest. We obviously have a lot of classrooms we're trying to fill. So our primary goal is that no one gets left out. So our primary goal is to make sure that all classrooms have at least 1 speaker. Ideally, we would have 2. I know that's how we've done it in the past. Tried to pair up, in the past, you may remember we've tried to pair up an ACEC Indiana member with someone from the public sector to kind of give the kids both perspectives. We'd obviously love to do that, and we encourage you to talk with people you have relationships with to maybe try to sign up for a classroom presentation together. But ultimately, it is our goal to make sure that every classroom has at least 1 person signed up. So we'll monitor this as you sign up, but keep in mind that we just don't want to leave anyone behind. And since we do have so many classrooms, if your time allows, we do encourage you to sign up for back-to-back classroom visits. There's a lot of them on here. So if your time allows, try to sign up for more than 1 slot, because we don't want to leave anyone out. And the times for each of these classes vary as well. It's listed in the Google Sheet. It'll be listed in Sign Up Genius. Some class visits are an hour and a half, and some are as short as 30 minutes. So keep that in mind. If your classroom visits are shorter, try to sign up for a few back-to-back if that option is available, so we can get in front of everybody. Liz?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, Dan. I first and foremost, first priority for us is to make sure that every classroom has somebody join them. And, it has always been in the past that we are very intentional about that pairing, and we want that to still happen. But knowing that we have such a higher volume of classrooms this year, it's really important that they're all covered in some form or fashion. So if it's your interest and your desire to, you could go alone, we would highly encourage you to do so. So that being said, I want to spend a moment to show you what the various volunteer roles will look like when you get to Sign Up Genius. Okay, we have a couple of examples on the slide for you. So anyone volunteering can serve as a primary volunteer, and you can have the choice of an optional co-presenter. The primary volunteer is responsible for communicating directly with their teacher. Okay, it's downloading the materials. You are in charge of your classroom. If you're in a primary slot, you're responsible for making sure that you show up, that you have slides, that you are prepared and ready. I am here, Dan is here, we are resources for you, but ultimately it is on the primary volunteer to lead that communication with their teacher and do any follow-ups necessary from this point forward. Okay, once you sign up for a shift, it's on you to make sure that you're reaching out to your teacher and talking to them. The primary volunteer role has typically been an ACEC member in the past, but public sector volunteers are also welcome to serve in this capacity too. We don't want to turn anybody down from doing that. We would welcome you to do that. And I think this is probably the way we're going to do things moving forward, that the more interest I have received outside of the ACEC network and the public sector network, I've had multiple construction firms reach out and say, hey, I'm an engineer, I work for a construction firm, can I join? And yes, if you're an engineer and you care about students, we want to get as many people involved as want to be involved. So this is, a way for us to kind of change that model a little bit. So anyone can be supportive and helpful for National Engineers Week. ACEC will continue to sponsor that. And, our big pool of our volunteers are obviously going to come from our membership, but we don't want to leave anybody out if they really want to be a part of this and lead a classroom. My kid goes to this school. Can I, on behalf of ACEC and during E-Week, can I participate? Absolutely. We don't want to leave anybody out. So you can see an example on the slide here. Bill Hawkins with Strand Associates, he signed up for the primary volunteer slot and his co-presenter slot is empty, and that's fine. What I actually anticipate that happening a great deal. So just be prepared that if you sign up as a primary volunteer, be prepared to go alone, all right? Unless you are actively seeking your own co-presenter or your own partner, there's a chance you may go alone if you sign up for that primary volunteer slots. Just keep that in the back of your mind. In contrast, we have Willie and Willie's partner, Jeremy, have signed up for a slot at Pike High School. And I actually wanted to show this example because you can see Willie's name listed there twice. So Willie went in and went ahead and clicked on both slots. You can do this. You can click on both items at the same time and sign up for them. And so Willie put his name in the primary, and then his co-presenter, his friend helping him out with that, is Jeremy from the city of Carmel. And he went at, I'm showing this because I love this because he put not only where this person works, but also their name in that line. So please do so. If you are signing up, both you and a partner at the same time, please provide that information as much as you can for me to see there, just so I have a sense of who's going where. It'd be really helpful to me. But yeah, if you are not interested in leading a presentation, there's always been an opportunity to do that in the past. You sign up to be a partner and, you still want to do that. You want to be that optional co-presenter. You can still do that. Okay. You can find a spot. You can sign up in an optional co-presenter box and, we'll make sure we have a pairing for you. Or if you know somebody that's already planning to volunteer, you want to work with them, plan to sign up for the same date and time as well. So we just want to leave options out there for everybody. But if you are interested in being that primary, spot, just know that that has been an ACEC member in the past, but it does not have to be. So keep that in mind going forward. If you've worked for NDOT for a long time, you've been a part of this work for a long time, and you want to, you feel confident leading a session, we welcome you to do that. We definitely don't want to keep anybody from doing so. Keep in mind that if 2 volunteers are already signed up for a classroom slot, please look elsewhere. We've had this in the past. A lot of schools are high interest. We get a lot of traffic in the central region, especially. That's definitely our highest concentration at 52 classrooms in the Greenfield district or the East and Central combined regions. So a lot of probably interest there. So just keep in mind that if you see 2 names like Willie here, Willie and Jeremy are already signed up for something, move right on past that because we'll need you elsewhere. Okay, we will need your support, and hopefully you can help us out in a different spot. But the reason we divided this across the 6 regions is we do have everyone's located statewide. So we wanted to make that a little bit easier, that if you wanted to just, I'm in the West region and I'm not traveling very far, kudos to you. I don't blame you. So go to the West District link and click on that and look at opportunities closer to you versus trying to have to shift through all the others that are out there. Okay, before we move on, I want to pause because we've thrown a lot of information at you. We've showed you some slides. We showed you the map, these new roles and responsibilities on Sign Up Genius. Does anyone have any questions before we move forward? Or Shelby, maybe if there's questions in the chat we need to address at this point.
I see, I guess I see one comment, which I think is helpful, but I wanted to get your opinion, Liz. There was a comment about having the activity book potentially electronically, like if it was downloaded to a tablet. Is it currently in, I guess if it's in PDF format, is that a possibility?
Yeah, I would be happy to explore that. That's actually something that Dave Replogle and I talked about, that the
Yeah.
future of this could, we have an app, ACEC has an app and we have all the materials on it, and students would be able to pull that up, or teachers, link that up for us and pull up an app to do all the activities instead of the book. What we were able to do in a short amount of time this year was make that PDF. But if you know of a way, or if we can talk through a way to make that more electronically accessible, I'm happy to explore that with you. Just knowing we have, a month to get that done. So if that's of interest to you, please reach out to me and we can explore some options. But currently it's a PDF for download. And if the student wants to open the PDF version on their tablet, they can do so and like draw on it. That's perfectly fine with me. But just bear in mind that, it may be beyond our capabilities to have an app this year. That was kind of looking toward the future. So, but let's explore what we can with what we have. And if we can make that PDF a little more electronically accessible, I'm happy to explore that. Anything else we need to address before we go forward?
Yeah, Liz, there's one other question in the chat I hope you can address. So we have a question. Can you revise from co-presenter to primary later if nobody signs up as the primary presenter?
That's a good question. That's something that I can help you do. I can help you with that. So just reach out to me, or honestly, I'll be monitoring the signups for the next several weeks. And if I notice that there's a classroom with a co-presenter and no primary, then I'll be sure to kind of zoom in and address that too. But yes, we can absolutely swap places. That's not a problem. Just that what would probably be the easiest choice is just to go in and just select primary volunteer and sign up for that slot. And then you're just signed up for both, and that's easy. But if you actually want to make a swap out of it, I can assist you with that on the back end.
The only other thing I see before going forward, there was a question about how long the estimated time is for going through the entire high school deck. I don't know if you know the answer to that, Liz, but my response would also be to emphasize that it's a template, and just a guide. So feel free to add, remove, customize the template as much as possible. And that obviously may affect your time. So that would be my.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Suggestion.
And I'm a little closer to the deck than everybody on call, but I would say that, you should be able to get through the content in about 40 minutes ish. If you're spending 5 minutes on a slide, that's a little too much time, right? So especially some of those early and primer slides, like for example, the civil engineer and then all the various engineering disciplines, that's a 30-second slide. Like that's just showing that as a quick, here are the disciplines. We're here to talk about civil, move on, right? So I think you can find a flow with it and, again, make it yours. But there are several slides in there that are mostly for the visual effect and less, to spend, a ton of time elaborating on what's on the slide itself. And you don't need to go into for that example, you don't need to go into what all the disciplines are. You just need to be able to show that there are many, and we're here to talk about civil. So, but that being said, yeah, absolutely echo what Dan said. I would say that the decks as they are presented, the templates as they are made, are a very, very wide breadth of information and possible content for you to use. And once you get into it and realize, okay, I only have, I have exactly 40 minutes to get through all this content. I don't feel confident that I can do that with what's presented to me. Delete a couple slides. It's okay. Just make sure that the primary, that the opening is similar in that, students understand we're here to talk about civil engineering, and they have a very general difference of how civil compares to other engineering disciplines. That's important. And that as you are showcasing what the different disciplines are. If you are, let's say you eliminate a big section on water, just be sure to mention it at some point, right? Like, I'm going to focus on bridges and roads and, you know, highway development today, but know that civil engineering also has water, environmental, and just kind of embed it a little bit in your deck. You don't need to spend a lot of time on it, having an own custom slide on it, but just, you know, be sure to mention and provide that information in some other, you know, simpler way. I hope that makes sense. And answers the question. Okay. We're going to keep going for interest of time. So, some preparation for your classroom visit. Okay, as I mentioned, primary volunteers are the ones that are reaching out to their teacher, and they're responsible for downloading the deck and making sure that everything's ready. You're going to sign up for all your classrooms over the next day or two. It's on you now to contact your teacher by February 2nd. They've been given that date. They are expecting your email. Okay, they know that you're going to be reaching out to them by Friday, February 2nd. So please do that over the course of the next couple weeks. You have time to pick your classroom visit, look at the information, look at the templates and decks and everything, and then reach out to your teacher. And I'm going to go through real quickly a checklist of things you want to make sure you bring up with them. But, you know, it's really important that you are communicating with your teacher before February 2nd. All of the contact information for the teachers is in the Google Sheet under the All Details tab. So you should be able to find your school and your time, and there's your teacher contact right there. It's a similar format to what you've seen in the past in the Google Sheet. That format did not change. Just know that it's in there, and we couldn't get it all in Sign Up Genius, so that's where it lives. But you know, be sure to find that information on the Google Sheet. And also be sure to download, review, and like I said, prepare yourself before you reach out to your teacher. Have a sense of if you're someone who is teaching, if you're presenting to a 5th grade class, you know, kind of go into that with, okay, I could either use the late elementary school and the, you know, the activity book, or I could, if they're more of a, you know, advanced 5th grade class, they might need the middle school slide deck, and that's okay too. I leave that at your discretion also. It's not meant to be this exact cutoff at 5th grade. That's on you and your teacher to work together to decide, you know, the best content for the classroom you're visiting. So just try to do that prep work in advance of reaching out to them, so you know what deck you're sharing with them before you do that. So as I mentioned, we do have a checklist of things that you want to make sure you're working with your teachers and working through all these questions. I'm not going to put it up on the screen. Shelby did just link it in the chat. Thank you. But just at a high level, here are some things that that you'll need to solidify when you're talking to your teacher. You want to make sure you know where to park. You want to know how to get into the building, how early you need to arrive. If you're able to, if you need a background check, that's critical. Some schools require background checks now for guest speakers. So make sure you're asking that in advance, which is why we want to reach out sooner rather than later to get that done. You're going to be finalizing your content and your timing. Things may have changed. They submitted these requests, some of them back in October. So for the most part, things should still be the same, but just kind of verify, hey, what I have listed here is I'm showing up at 9 a.m. I have until 9:45 to present. Is that still right? You know, just kind of verify that with them and get all of that, all those details locked in. If, you know, we had a question about AV, if there is technology available to you, ask about that and, you know, see if that's something the students could get that PDF on their tablet, for example. Also, just make sure that the teacher understands that you do have a slide deck accompanying you, and you want to make sure that you have a screen and, you know, projection available to you before you walk in the room. And ideally, you get the slide deck to the teacher in advance, and they have the activity book in advance if that's what you're using. And they can have all those materials ready for you when you walk in the door. So that's ideal. That's what we're going to strive for. So that's why we want to try to provide all that in advance. And finally, a great suggestion and addition from the committee was to ask about photo releases. We're really trying to make sure that all our volunteers are taking photos and we're able to share this great success on social. So if you have any issues with taking photos or having photos taken of you, or students aren't allowed to be in photos, please just ask about that before you go and snap a bunch of photos and we get in trouble. Okay. I mean, I've got kids in school, so it's kind of keep that be aware that that may be something that you're up against, and make sure to ask about it. All of these things will help make sure you have a smooth, volunteer experience. The teacher has a good experience, and we're just doing everything we can to get that information up front. As a reminder, volunteers earn a PDH for volunteering during eWeek. We will send you this in an actual PDF format at the conclusion of eWeek for you to add your name in there, and you get your 1 PDH. So again, thank you so much for helping. We know you don't do it for the 1 PDH, but you do get one, so make sure you claim it. If you are volunteering from NDOT, I want to take a moment to make sure you're aware that they're not supposed to be using PTO during eWeek volunteering. This came up actually at the ITT, the Indiana Transportation Team Shindig. I got that question from someone volunteering or planning to volunteer that, they weren't really sure if they had to use PTO in the past. We did connect back with NDOT leadership, and they verified with me that that is not something you should do. You should be able to just take this time and use this as, you're doing your civil duty and getting out and talking to students. So please do not be claiming PTO to volunteer. That's the opposite of what we want. So just make sure that you check in with your supervisor. As a general note to everyone on the call, make sure that your supervisor knows where you're going that day and they know what you're up to. And but we certainly don't want to put anybody in a position where they have to claim their personal hours to be volunteering. And, I think most people know that, but I did get that question. So I wanted to bring that up as, to verify for you that no, especially if you work for NDOT, you do not need to be taking PTO to volunteer. Okay, we're about at the end here. So a couple last reminders. So we're going to open up classroom signups for you as soon as we conclude here. They will be listed on our website and available to you until they're all filled. They are at a first come, first serve basis. So if you do see some folks signed up for something, move right on by that and, try to find something else that works for you. If you are at all struggling to read and understand the Sign Up Genius and you're having trouble linking that back to the Google Sheet and any of it's confusing, please call me, please email me. I'm happy to help. I'm happy to assist you. Make sure you find something that is, close to you and makes sense for your schedule. And, I'm happy to help you along that process. Just be sure you are referencing that Google Sheet. We also do have a Google Earth file. Thank you, Dave Replogle, for building that for us. So if that is of interest to you, please email me. I'm happy to send that to you. But it's a Google Earth file that showcases the pinpoints of all the schools across the state. If that's something you want to see, we have the NDOT district map that kind of shows roughly where the regions cut off, as well as a Google Earth map to show a pinpoint where every school is that's participating in eWeek. So if that's something that interests you, please send me an email. Also, just another little reminder of our timeline here. We'll open up that Sign Up Genius link very shortly. Primary volunteers, be sure to contact your teachers by Friday, February 2nd. That teacher contact list is available to you. It's also linked on our website with all the other resources. And I do want to put in a call out. New this year is teacher orientation for our teachers that are participating in eWeek. That's not been offered in the past, but we're trying it out this year. We'll offer that over 2 dates, February 6th and 7th, and they have that date and they're holding that, and they're planning to tune in, but they'll get something a little similar to what you've received today. Here's what we're here to do. Here's what eWeek is. Here's a really soft primer of our slides, and we'll then allow ample time for Q&A for those teachers to just ask us questions about the process and hopefully answer anything outstanding that hasn't been addressed yet in your back and forth emails. If a teacher, lets me know by that date, hey, I haven't heard from anybody yet, I'll probably be right on top of that to make sure that they have somebody signed up for that slot. And if they do have somebody signed up and they haven't received an email yet, then I might be on you, the volunteer, to, make sure you're reaching out to them and, we're communicating with our teachers. So just be sure to own this process from here forward, that once you sign up for a classroom, it's yours, and we want to make sure you own that and you're communicating with your teacher. Before we break, I do want to put in a very important plug for a default setting in Sign Up Genius that I was unhappy about, but we're working with it. So Sign Up Genius defaults to Eastern time. Okay, so if you are located and or you are searching for signups in the Northwest or Southwest regions, which is the LaPorte and Dot District or the Vincennes and Dot District, note that all of the times listed in Sign Up Genius are going to be in Eastern time. That is what they are listed in. That is what they will show. But obviously, some of those schools are in Central time, and we know that. So what I've tried to do in the sign up is list, I put a double asterisk next to every school that's in Central time. So just know that as you're signing up for that, what you are clicking on, if it's 9 a.m. and there's asterisks next to it, it's really 8 a.m. Okay, so just please be mindful of that as you're signing up. It only impacts those two districts. Everywhere else is Eastern time in the state. So just be mindful of that. If you are within those two districts and you have Central time areas in that region, just know that this was the best solution we could come up with, and just be mindful of that. And I will also be doing some intentional outreach to those volunteers and teachers in those two districts to make sure that there's no confusion, that everybody knows where they need to be at the right time. Okay, but this has ballooned so big and such interest this year, which we're so pleased about, that we had to find a way to make that sign up process easier for everyone. And so we exhausted a search of all of our free options, and Sign Up Genius was the best one, with this little caveat. So just bear this in mind if you are located or searching for opportunities in those two regions, that you will need to be mindful of your time zone adjustments and do so accordingly. Okay, does anybody have any questions at this time before we release you all for signing up for classrooms?
One thing I want to point out, Liz, real quick, in Sign Up Genius, just so everyone's aware, if you haven't used it before, when you click next to this class that you want to sign up for, there's a sign up now if it's not full. When you click sign up now, it's going to ask you for I think your name, your organization. I think it's just a couple pieces of information.
Yeah.
And then you have to click sign up again. And only after you fill out that additional information will the slot fill up as full. Mm-hmm. So just wanted to point that out so everyone's aware.
Yeah, when you think, Dan, you'll click on, let's say you want to be a primary volunteer and you want to be a co-presenter. Let's just say you have someone in mind, you want to sign up for both at the same time. So click both buttons. At the very bottom, you'll click on, proceed, next, sign up. There's a big button at the bottom that will populate, and you just push on that. Then you'll put in your name and, contact info for yourself, and then the info you have on hand for your co-presenter, and then you'll push submit. There's a submit button. Make sure you do that, and then that locks it in. So it's not as simple as just pushing two buttons and like you're done. You need to make sure you put all your info in to make sure it locks for you. Okay. All right. I did see a question pop up. Will there be an email with all the links? I think Shelby's going to do her best to drop all 6 of those in the chat as well. But we will be sending it out over email, and I will actually be modifying our website in about 5 minutes to have all the links on our website as well. So through a variety of formats, we'll make sure you have all of those available. But first and foremost, probably just going to drop them here in the chat for you, so you can start signing up for them from the chat directly. Dan and I and Shelby are going to stay online here in Teams for the next 5 or 10 minutes just to answer any questions. You can come off mute, ask us anything you need. And we're here for you for the next, like I said, 5-10 minutes just to make sure everybody's questions are answered. But if you have everything you need, you are free to go. You can sign off here, and once we get those links to you, you can start signing up for your classes. So with that, that's all the content we had for you today. Just again, cannot thank you enough for your time, your energy and spirit and everything to volunteer for this. This has, we've almost doubled the exposure to students across the state. We, doubled our classroom size. We have definitely grew our volunteer base. We have over 170 volunteers had registered as of this morning to be, a participant in eWeek. And I just can't thank you enough for showing up today and for prioritizing this. This is the extra stuff that you don't have to do, right? We know you're busy. We know you're working hard, and this is the extra, and we know it's extra, and you're here anyway. And we just really thank you for doing what you can to teach young kids about engineering and to show them that they have an opportunity to be an engineer and to leave an impact on their world too. It's huge. So Dan, anything closing for you?
No, thanks again. Thanks for your efforts. I mean, this is, eWeek is the biggest volunteer push we've done with ACEC Indiana, and so thank you for your time and your efforts, and the payoff. You may not see the payoff tomorrow, but eventually we're gonna really help these kids see what a good career engineering can be. So there was a question about signing up for multiple classes in the same room, same teacher. Yes, each of those is a separate sign up in Sign Up Genius. There was a question on that, so just wanted to answer that.
Yep. And I'm getting buzzes on my watch showing that I'm getting Sign Up Genius confirmation, so that's actually wonderful news. But just for those that haven't used Sign Up Genius in the past, you'll notice right away that by default, it sorts everything by date, and then it sorts it by time after that. So everything for Monday is going to be in a Monday box, and then you'll scroll down a bit and you'll see everything in a Tuesday box. So just kind of know how to navigate the Sign Up Genius and work through it. It's, again, getting lots of buzzes, so I know people are signing up, so thank you. But yeah, that you'll notice that right away, that things are sorted a certain way on Sign Up Genius, but you can use the Google Sheet, download it as Excel, manipulate that as you need to find things that work best for you. And like I said, if you have any questions or issues doing that, I'm here, Dan's here. We're happy to help you find the right thing for you. But we will leave those open, and they'll be there for you until everything's filled. And over the next couple of weeks, I'll be monitoring it closely and making sure we have, somebody signed up for every classroom, and we'll have a great year of student outreach. I'm really excited. So, okay, I think that concludes our comments. I'm going to go on mute for a few minutes. If you have any questions at all, I know a lot of you are signing up actively for your classes, so I'll just go mute for a moment. If you do have questions, please unmute and ask me anything you need. And if you are all set and you feel like you've got everything you need for today, you can go ahead and sign off. Thank you so much for everything. And we're here if you have any questions. Thanks so much.
Hi, I was late to the meeting. I apologize. I did get I registered late, when this started, and then I had a question come in, so I couldn't get in. But is this pretty much set up like last year, like the primary volunteer? Will that be a member? And then I'm not a member, so I would just be a optional co-presenter.
We actually had a whole,
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. We just redesigned that a little bit. So who you with? Sorry, I can't see.
NDOT.
Wonderful. Thanks for volunteering. So if you would like to be a co-presenter with someone, feel free to sign up for any empty co-presenter box. So when you go to the link of your region, you find a classroom that's, suitable for you, you can go ahead and sign up as a co-presenter. If you want to be a primary, you can absolutely do that too. We're kind of opening the lid a little bit on that. And we just have so many classrooms this year. We have 191 classrooms to make sure we have volunteers for. So if you feel good about, I can lead a session and I've got the deck and I feel good, then anybody can be a primary volunteer. The only thing that is important to know with that is that you're on the hook then for reaching out to and communicating with the teacher at that point. It wouldn't be on the optional person, it's on the primary. Whoever signs up in that slot, they're responsible for that. So it has historically been an ACEC member, and it absolutely can and should be, but we just don't want to provide that limitation, right? We want to make sure anybody, if they want to be a primary, they can. So you can do either one.
Excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Hey, Liz.
Yeah, good morning.
Hey, this is Akhtar Zaman. Sorry,
Akhtar.
I was a little late on joining the call, but
That's okay.
last year, I had to contact local schools. One is school town of Munster, and I got finally a response back this year too. I don't know if they responded to your earlier reach out or or not? Did you hear from them by any chance?
I'm happy to look in our Google Sheet here and see if they have signed up. But yeah, I don't recall a specific email from any teacher from there.
Okay, so they
it
can
was,
still sign up, right? Because the instructor that helped me last year, he retired, so that's what, there was a communication gap, I believe. So I reached
Okay.
out to the principal, so they gave me the new teacher's contact. So I
Okay.
reached out to him. So is it okay to still sign them up, right? If they are
So
willing?
that's a very good question. I'm so glad you asked it. So this has come up a couple times over the last 2 days, and yeah, so thank you for prompting that. We are not going to be adding any more classrooms to the Sign Up Genius itself. Okay, so what we have in there is what we have, just to simplify that for everybody involved. But if you, as a volunteer, have a specific school that you want to work with, like in your case, or you've worked with the same school, it's in your area, your kids go there, whatever your reason is, it's totally fine. I would put that on you as the volunteer to reach out to that school and make that connection with that teacher and say, this is National Engineers Week. I'm available. Would you like me to come to your class, and when can that happen? And you to be the one to provide that direct outreach to them versus like me doing that at this stage. I want to kind of remove myself from new additions at this point, but I was on the phone with a volunteer yesterday wanting to know how can I get my son's classroom on the list. I'm like, well, you can't, but you can do that, right? You can reach out to your son's teacher, and if you want to be a presenter in their classroom that week, you're welcome to do that. So that's what I would advise you to do, Akhtar, is just to reach out to that teacher, and you've been given the guidance you need from us today. You've got the decks, you've got everything you need. So I would just encourage you to do that outreach on your own and lock that in.
Okay, so yeah, there may be an opportunity for school city of Hammond as well. That's a big school city here in Indiana. So I'm trying to get both of them to sign up. Hopefully they can both give me some times. So okay, all right, that's fine. Yeah, I did it last year, so that's not a big deal.
Perfect. Yeah.
I'll sign them
Yeah.
up, and then you're gonna email us the presentation at some point, right?
Yes, so this session was recorded today, and I'll email you, a PDF of the deck itself, but also the recording. We'll put that online and we'll send a link out for that. Might take me a day to edit it, but
Sure.
we'll get that to all of you.
But it'll be a PowerPoint.
We'll PowerPoint, PDF, whatever you need, we'll make sure you have it.
Okay. Sounds good.
And if you are someone that is doing your own outreach and finding your own classroom that way, that's perfectly fine. I would just ask that you provide a couple of data points to me, notably the number of students that you present to in each class, and the basics of what school you went to, and if you have from that a teacher email address you'd be willing to share so they get on my list for next year.
Sure.
That's what I would need. But if it's, but as long as you provide me those couple pieces of information, you can sign up you can find any classrooms you need.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for volunteering. I
right.
see a hand up for Tiffany.
Yeah, I just wanted to confirm, so kind of adding on to his comment. So if there's a school that approaches us, like our kids' school or something, they figure out about Engineering Week, approaches us to do this, it's okay to use like this deck and stuff, coordinate with them obviously on our own, but use the deck and stuff as information and narrative, that it's okay to use that?
Absolutely.
Mhm.
Okay, I just wanted to verify.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Yep.
Wonderful. Any other questions that have come up from anybody?
No, I'm good. Thank you so much again for everything.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna sign off now.
That sounds good. Thanks.
Thanks, guys.